Good morning, this is Chris Griffiths and I'm the iTech trainer. I'm here this morning to talk to you about the data conversion that we have coming up next week. And basically the purpose of this is that when we joined Carrots we agreed that we'd have one set of data fields across the whole system. So we're basically adding and revising our data fields to match the other 6 MLSs in Carrots. So the first thing we're going to look at, well, before I go there, the transition itself is going to take place at 5 p.m. The system will go down, our system will go down at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, October the 26th, and all things being equal, we'll be back in business on Wednesday morning. So just make sure that you don't need to access the system during those hours. Okay, the first thing we're going to look at is the standard search, and you'll notice that it looks very familiar. The most obvious thing is when you're in the residential property type, you'll see that the subtypes have changed somewhat. The biggest change is that we no longer have residential detached, residential attached, condo attached, and condo detached. You'll see that we have a bunch of new choices, including some that more accurately reflect what's happening out there. For example, combo, res, and commercial. What's happened to the attached and detached? Well, we have a new field called common walls. So now what you would do is you would select condominium and then the common walls would be either attached or detached, no common walls. Okay, the next thing is there's really not much other big change on the front page here. But if we go to the additional criteria, you will find that there are a whole bunch of new choices that you have not seen before. Before we look at those, you'll also see that there's a new category here. I'm moving my mouse here that says require all checks. And basically what that is an AND operator. So for example, under lot description here, if you selected include automatic gate and include let's say alley paved, the system would search for something that either was alley paved and or automatic gate. Whereas if you were then to check the box here that says require all checks, you would only find properties that are both alley paved and automatic gate. So that basically is the difference between an AND or an OR. And notice, of course, that you can also exclude properties as well as include them. So you can say, I absolutely don't want to see a horse property, for example. Okay, so that's the AND OR criteria. You'll see that there are a lot of new choices and they're all expanded. Well, why did we do this? I mean, it wasn't just to take up space. Obviously, we could have used drop-down menus. But what this allows you to do is search very quickly by using the search tool built into your browser. So you would press Control and F, and that will bring up a browser. And then if you type in pool, for example, it will take you to all the instances of pools. You'll see up here it says 16 matches. As I click next, it will take me through all the different pool options. And you can do that with any word. So if you're looking for something, let's say, for example, you want to find garbage disposal, easy for me to say. Apparently there isn't. Oh, what if I typed it correctly? There probably would be. So it would take you straight to garbage disposal. So that's using Control F, a very useful thing indeed. We were talking about pool. That's one thing that has changed fairly dramatically. We used to have pool yes, no, and that is no longer the case. We now have a more complex search criteria where you can use the pool features. So for example, you can say that I want to find a gas heated pool, or I want to find an indoor pool or a lap pool, and again you can use the require all if you want to make it AND for various different criteria. You can of course also exclude, so you would just exclude to say I don't want to see any pool of any type. Let's move now to the listing input, and the first thing you'll notice on the listing input is that we still have the red mandatory fields, but there are far fewer of them. In our existing system we have 57 mandatory fields, we now have 42. So there are far fewer of them. Again, the drop-downs we have left expanded. So for example, under terms here, there are a lot of new terms and they're all expanded. Again, you can use the Control F if you wish to. I talked about property subtypes, common walls. Let's come down and look at disclosures. Now, disclosures kind of makes it sound like the written disclosures that we include when we write a contract. This is really more awarenesses or FYIs. So it doesn't mean that there is a written disclosure attached. It's just basically the listing agent making sure that the buyer's agent is aware of something. You'll also notice when we come down the field a bit that there are some fields that have N next to them. Here we go. Here's a good example. House faces. Now the N means that these are not standard fields, and that means that they're not required to be displayed in the other Carrots MLSs. So if you were, for example, to put in house faces northeast, it would definitely appear to anyone who looks at iTech, but you could not guarantee that it would appear to an agent looking in a different system. So just be a little careful when you use the N fields. Okay, there's a couple of other things you need to be aware of when we make the transition. The first is that any searches you have set up right now, so any auto prospecting that you have set up or any saved searches, you need to go in and double check the criteria once we've made the change. For example, I talked about pools yes, no. If you had a search set up with pools yes, obviously that search is going to be broken when we make the transition because that field has disappeared. So just make sure after we do the transition that you go in and check all of your saved searches, your auto prospecting and what have you. The next thing is tracked codes, and let me just do a control F and we'll go to tracked codes. Okay, so builders track codes. Now this is not something that we use a lot in iTech, but it's really important in other parts of Carrots, especially Orange County and what have you. And there is a separate lookup that you will find on the association website that you need to use to make sure you get the correct track code. If you do not use the track codes correctly, you very likely will not be found by a lot of agents in other areas. One last thing. In iTech, we have 6 active mobile homes, not a whole big lot. But starting on Wednesday, you will not be able to upload your own mobile homes. You'll be able to search them exactly the way you always have. But if you take a mobile home listing, you need to go to the association and have them input it for you. Okay, well, work with us as we go through this transition. As always, I'm sure there'll be some hiccups, but in the end, we'll have a much better system. Of course, you're at the mercy of the listing agent as to how accurately they input the information. So if you are a listing agent, when the system comes back up, please go back in and go through and see what you can best use to highlight your property's features. Okay, thank you for listening. Bye-bye.